You just heard one of the most tastefully produced, well-written and beautifully played guitar songs you've ever heard in your life. Well, I don't know about that. I'm actually yet to do it. I'm gonna record that song that you just heard right now for the video, and it's all because of the new Chase Bliss Clean. It's their compressor pedal. It's designed to make your clean sound just as fun as your overdrive sound, basically. Chase Bliss being Chase Bliss, it can do so much more than compression, and my goal today is to write a song pretty much solely using the Chase Bliss Clean for all my different drive sounds and some other weirder sounds as well, basically using a different setting and a different feature from the Clean on every live performed track. To make things even harder for myself, because I'm stupid like that, I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to set a timer for 2 hours, and I have 2 hours to do this, and I'm going to even try and mix it in that time as well. So we'll see how possible that is. I've got my coffee, I'm ready to go. I'm going to press start and let's get going. Okay. The timer is going. So I literally have no ideas of where to start with this. I'm going to approach it how I would normally do with any of my other demo songs. First of all, my clean sound. So let's dial up a really simple, maybe some sort of parallel compression sound with a bit of dry signal blend in there. Dynamics is sort of the heart of the pedal, and it goes through different stages of compression, limiting, and then finally, once you really start to crank it, you get some sag, which is really interesting. We'll get to that later. Sensitivity sets the sensitivity of the compression. I'm happy with that as sort of a baseline tone. I'm rubbish at playing along with a click track, so I tend to usually like to start with a drum track. I use Easy Drummer plugin for this because it's easy. Okay, first of all, I don't like the sound of this kit. Sounds better. I think it's too fast as well. Let's change the BPM to maybe like 90? Let's go 92. I kind of like the feel of this loose preset, but I think this one, verse 2, is a little busy. So let's find verse 1. Oh, nice. I'm just going to drag it into Easy Drummer and just loop it. And this basically allows me to play over it for a bit and figure out some chords. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to kind of try and record a take all the way through. And I may think of maybe a little a C section where we can change up the tonality of it and maybe go a bit rockier. Okay, that was just, I played that all the way through. It was okay. It was a little sloppy in places, but to be honest, I might not even end up using that take in the final thing. That's kind of just there as so I can build the rest of the arrangement around it. If you're enjoying this video so far, it'd be awesome if you would go down and subscribe to the channel and give it a like, leave a comment. All of that stuff really helps me out. So next of all, I'm gonna build a little bit of a drum arrangement, kind of expand on this idea. Cool. We have like a little drum arrangement there, kind of emphasizing the different sections and getting different grooves and feels, but really keeping it simple. I'm not a drummer. I don't have a great understanding of what makes a good drum part, so I try to keep it simple, but also what kind of excites me. For bass, I really like to use, there's a Neural DSP plugin, and it's one of the artist presets, and I use it pretty much for everything. It's this 5-string bass sound, and it sounds killer. I'm going to turn off the compression that's in there, because obviously we're going to use the clean. So I don't really know the rules when it comes, shall I say, of compressing bass. So I'm just going to kind of play around with clean and get a tone that I like. I think I'm going to want it pretty pumping and kind of squashed as well. I think because I have the dry signal turned all the way down, I'm going to want the attack relatively fast, just so it doesn't completely cut off the start of the note. Clean has this, like this physics switch, and it adds a really subtle sort of fluctuation to the compression. You can barely hear it sometimes, but I'm just going to put it on just so we can kind of get that feeling of it maybe being a little more, bit of a more broken vintage sound. We also have this EQ knob, and I'm thinking, even though these are super old strings anyway, I don't think I've ever changed them, if we just turn down the EQ ever so slightly, it might give that impression that we've got flat wounds on. You can hear that physics switch as well. I think I'm going to let the beginning breathe a little bit and then come in a bit later on. So let's put the click on and let's go for a take. I'm going to start again. I made a mistake there, but I can drop in if I want. Okay, there's a take. Not too bad, not too bad. Simple bass line, although we did kind of pick things up at the end. I did almost like a bridge burning Foo Fighters sort of ending. That's just silly, but I like it. Okay, let's move on to another guitar. And I'm thinking, although this wasn't the perfect take the first time around, if I double track it or do something similar on the left and right sides, it'll give me a bit of variation between the left and right in the ear. Time check as well, for those interested. We are pretty much 25 minutes in. Let's play this. This is a Zona guitar that I've got in at the moment. They're cool, interesting things. Okay, let's go for a take of this. I did have to comp that a little bit. Something was well, I made a mistake. Let's not lie. Now, I have an idea for the next part. Bear with me, let's get it. Let's play a bit of acoustic, or acoustasonic, if you will. I'm gonna set up something a little more subtle, maybe with the compression as well. So we're gonna have a load of dry signal in there. I'd back the dynamics off a little bit. It's not the finest acoustic sound you've ever heard. I think it will provide just a little bit of, almost more of a percussive element. So interestingly enough, there's actually a few different ways that you can create overdrive with the Clean. Obviously you can just push it maximum so it's boosting your amp into overdrive, but there's a few different things you can do actually with the Clean to overdrive the pedal itself. One of those ways is to use the sag sound in it. So if you crank up the dynamics knob, it basically maxes out the limiter in this thing, creating this really interesting ducking almost overdrive sound. So let's dial that in and we'll experiment with that. So you can hear when I hit it really hard, it almost ducks and swells in, almost like a sidechain effect. Funnily enough, the Clean does actually have a sidechain input, so you can do that effect authentically if you want to hook it up with some drums. And I think this is going to be a really interesting texture to emphasize that bit where we go to the minor chord for the C section, just to kind of give that bit of vintage rock feel. I think we can do that a little better. I'm going to drop in somewhere. Okay, cool. Let's move on to another sort of tone that we can get from the clean. While I was experimenting, getting to know this pedal, I discovered a really cool way to get like a faux harmonic tremolo sound that actually sounds excellent. So I'll dial that in and I'll explain to you afterwards what's going on here. That sounds pretty great to me as just like a great harmonic tremolo. So what's going on basically is we can see this EQ knob here. The switch below it called mode basically allows us to manipulate that EQ knob in different ways. So to the right, we are able to modulate the EQ. So it'll basically go from where it's set up to the center position and back down. Attack then sets the speed of that, and that basically gives us this really cool harmonic tremolo. And I'm kind of thinking this might be cool to use a slide maybe and just have it as almost like a little bit of ear candy. I think probably what I'll do is put a load of reverb on it when we're mixing and just kind of... So let's go for a take. Again, don't really know what's going to happen, but we'll just figure it out. Cool. We got a little bit of a... What was it doing? Well, I'll see how that fits in with the mix, but that's what happens when you just press record sometimes. I think we're going to need a little more overdrive in this sort of rockier section. So I think that's probably the next step. Okay, that's kind of a cool overdrive sound. I've got this in a slightly different way as I'm just pushing the dry blend and then just adding a little bit of compression or limiting actually underneath that. I'm also boosting the EQ ever so slightly just to give a bit more of a cutting tone. You know what? Like the other ideas, let's just hit record and see what happens. I just had an idea while I was doing that. Do you remember the bass line that I did? I want to recreate that. Cool. Okay, that was fine. Totally fine. We're building something up here. Time check as well. We have an hour and 5 minutes left, so we're near enough halfway. What else do we need to do? I want to do maybe a little bit of lead. Also, I just feel like maybe this intro just quite isn't interesting enough yet. I mean, it sounds fine, but I think maybe that's what we need to work on next. And I'm thinking something like, you know, Vulture's John Mayer, that kind of envelope filter sound. There is a way that we can get close to that with clean. So I'll dial that in again and I'll explain to you what I'm doing in a sec. Okay. So you remember how previously when we got the harmonic tremolo sound, we were modulating the EQ knob? If you turn the mode switch to the left, you can basically almost ramp the EQ knob, so it kind of only engages when you're playing, like an envelope filter. I'm going to need to play something more upper register as well, because I feel like we've got a lot around about that space. So cool. That might be my favorite part so far, because I had to get the release quite fast on the clean, so it kind of grabbed back to 0, if you know what I mean. It's quite a pulsing sound, and I think that's really going to help the driving force of this song. We're can't demo a compressor pedal without playing some funky Strat stuff. So I think that's what's next. Let's get the Strat out, or should I say Silver Sky, I guess. I'm thinking something really simple, but also really squashed and compressed. Something as simple as that. Just to pedal that A note. Okay, I feel like we're getting close to doing some sort of melodic lead line, but I do want to do some maybe some swelling ambient stuff here. And like I said earlier, there are a few different ways that you can swell with the clean. One of them being using the aux foot switch, which acts as like a trigger or like a manual swell. I've got two dip switches on the top engaged. One of them is the latch. Without that engaged, this acts as a sort of momentary manual swell feature. The second dip switch I've got engaged is called motion, and this modulates the amount of compression to give an almost tremolo-like effect. So without the swell, and I'm thinking I'm just going to play some similar chords but in different voicings, just to kind of give a little bit of flavour. And I think what I'll do in the mix is crank a load of reverb on this, basically. Wrong note. But I think next we need some sort of melody and some sort of lead solo. And I might try and do that all in one using another dip switch on the top of the clean called Dusty. And this is sort of the final way of getting clean to overdrive. This is kind of the most unique overdrive in the clean because it's kind of got this fizzy, crunchy, crumbly texture. Let's just go for it. I'm thinking something melodic in the first A and B sections, and then when it goes to the minor, sort of Stairway to Heaven bit, I'm going to solo. Maybe until the end. We'll see how we go. It would be good if I could bend in tune, wouldn't it? We got there finally. I didn't think we'd get a whole take of that sort of lead stuff as well, but it sounds all right. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, while I'm listening to it, while I'm playing along with it, I do feel like maybe there's just one or two little bits that are missing, mainly maybe this section. I just think that section needs something a little beefier to thicken it out. Okay, let's just go for a bit of a, let's just rock out on some chords for this final bit. Okay, I think that's all that is needed. It's time to get mixing, I think. I think all the guitar playing is done. How long do I have? 23 minutes to mix this song. We'll see how far we get with that. Let's just take a step back and realize how many different sounds we've got from the clean. Like, this is all clean. I've not changed any amp settings. Even on the acoustic and the bass, I kept the tones really simple. We just added little subtle variations to the clean to either bring in more or less compression or add a little bit of enveloping or a bit of stutteriness to add a bit more ear candy. We've done so much just with one pedal. And I think I've not felt limited in that sense, but those limitations have kind of created this song. You know, I came into this with no idea of what I was going to write or what I was going to play. Everything has come from inspiration from the tones that I've got from the Clean. Kind of crazy, for just from a simple compressor pedal that can actually do so much more. And I hope when it comes together in the final mix, it's going to sound cool. Right, speaking of which, I best get going because I now literally have 20 minutes. My time has gone off. Mix-wise, we are nearly there. I'm just sort of in the automation part of it. Again, I'm going to stress, I am not a producer, a mixer, an engineer, whatever. I just do things the way it makes sense in my brain and try and make it sound good. Really simple, as you can see, I've added no compression on any tracks other than the drums. And that's pretty much it, other than some really, really simple EQ. Let's have a listen to what we've come up with the Chase Bliss Clean. But there you have it. Let me know what you think of the song and if you like the tones that we've got with the Chase Bliss Clean. What an incredible pedal. What an incredible take on compression. And for Chase Bliss's first kind of analog circuit in quite some time, this is a really, really special pedal that can do a lot with, as is clearly evident. I say in every Chase Bliss video that they are so open to interpretation. This was just my interpretation of the Clean, and I hope you enjoyed it.